So if you do not have one of these, raise your hands. Kristen will get you a folder. If you do not have one of these and you're new, that's a folder. Testimonials here, there's an entire, if you stick around for later, I'll show you a tour. We'll give you a tour. Once we're done, right at 7 o'clock, maybe a few minutes after, we'll have some questions, but we'll break for potty time or have some coffee or some tea, and then we'll do a tour, and I'll show you everything, including the wall of testimonials. If you've ever been to another doctor's office that has a wall of testimonials, I want to know. So the wall of testimonials is out here, and any condition that you can think of, you can look and see, 2 pages of front and back people who used to have headaches and don't have headaches anymore, or used to have allergies and don't have them anymore. So I'll talk more about that on the tour. Y'all need to see that. Now, the whole reason we're here is because there are bad things happening and people want to be better. Here's some stories of people who got better. A couple of testimonials so that you know and understand kind of the shenanigans that we pull around here, okay? I've had stiff joints and tight muscles for years, despite working out and stretching. I've always thought that slow, stiff movements made one look old. For the last 23 years, I've said I'm 29 years old and try to convince my brain to let my body know this. So today, this was a month ago, on my 52nd birthday, I'm able to sit cross-legged on the treatment table and able to sit back on my legs. Thankful for Dr. Brett and staff. I truly do feel 29 now. Dr. Brett, you were created for such a time as this. That's nice. Esther 4:14. I did not highlight these. You highlighted that one. You tricky. You slipped that past me. This was somebody who may not sound like a big deal, but she could sit cross-legged. She could lean back. Big deal. Okay. I was having hot flashes several times a day. I carried a little portable fan with me. Oh, yeah. As of the past week, I've not had one hot flash. Thank the Lord first in divine design for no more hot flashes. How many of you were at or heard about the women's health class that we did a little while ago? I explained hot flashes. How many of you in here were there for that one? Did that make sense? Yeah. Oh, and Kristen, can you get a few Pottinger's cats handouts? Because we're going to discuss that. Because we talked about Pottinger's cats last time. Pottinger's cats, that this topic will also deal with Pottinger's cats. Here's another one. This is a patient that just started with us a little while ago. I was not sleeping throughout the night for 9 years. 9 years? And I was always anxious because of the lack of sleep, taking sleep medication every night. This is a young girl, she's 25, 26, 28. After 8 days on the supplements that we have here, all the supplements we have here are doctor only. You don't find these in a health food store. You don't find them on the internet. After 8 days on the supplements and nutritional plan, I'm sleeping throughout the night. My anxiety is pretty much gone, and I already feel better looking forward to the next 11 weeks. So sleeping throughout the night after 8 days on the supplements. How many of you know after 9 years of not sleeping through the night and you do supplements for 8 days, is that a big deal or is that a big deal? That's kind of a big deal, right? My nails were chipped, split, had lines and wrinkles and ripples, and I was pulling away, and they were all pulling away from the nail bed. And now I have no lines, no clipping, no splitting. My nails are reattaching to the nail bed again. Fingernails are falling off. Weird, right? Before the purification program that we do, it's a 21-day thing to train you on what to eat and how to eat it. Raise your hand in here if you've done it. Oh, yeah, about a dozen people or so. Before the purification, I was getting better and better. Today is day 7 of my purification, and I feel amazing. I thought the cleanse would be pretty good, but I had her write this down because this was so great. She said, it's so weird to feel so good. How many of you know people like that? Every hand go up. How many of you know people like that? It would be weird if they had a good day. That's the society we live in, and tonight you're going to find out some of the reasons why. Those were just a couple of quick little testimonials that, and Kristen, you can come on up and I'll show you what you're going to do to assist. Are you good at penmanship? Sure. Well, those we'll just hand out back there. I don't need them right now. I'll just hand those out. All right, Kristen's going to list off, everybody, feverishly as fast as you can. I'm just kidding. List devices that you use in your home that are considered wireless or that emit a signal or transmit a signal or receive a signal. iPad. I was kidding about the fast thing. iPad. Write down every one of these. iPad.
Cell phone.
Cell phone. Beautiful.
Laptop.
Computers. Okay.
TV.
Yes. TVs didn't used to. Now they're smart, which makes us stupid, right?
Refrigerators.
Who said that? Miss Maytag back there, yes.
The smart crock pot.
Are you kidding?
You don't turn it on and off with your phone?
Are there smart crock pots?
They're smart at everything.
I write it down.
Well, those
That's
Alexa.
new. High five for telling me something new.
How about
I did not.
Alexa?
Say what?
Alexa.
Cars? Cars, yeah. Who else?
Alexa?
Oh, yeah. The government spy
Yeah.
satellites that you buy and put in your own home and do the work for them. Yeah, Alexa.
No, no.
What else? Security systems, the cameras. What else? Anybody?
Printers.
Printers. Boom. That's a big one. What else? Isn't this crazy? You see where this is going, right?
Yeah, wireless speakers.
Wireless speakers, Sonos. We got them in this room. Absolutely. What else?
Routers.
Routers. Yes. What else? Come on, it's a fun game. I like this game.
Roombas.
Roombas. I'd forgotten. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. 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 Wireless vacuum cleaners.
You can set your lights off and on.
Oh yeah. What do they call that though?
And then like the nests with like the thermostat.
Yeah, security systems and stuff. Well, yeah, home. We'll call it home security. Yeah. Jane.
Your electric meters.
Smart meters. Yes, that was one I was looking for. Yes. How about washer? How about dryer, Miss Maytag? Whirlpool. I mean, sorry. I'm not from here. Oops. Woo! Man. Oh, I got the slap on the wrist. Yeah, I should. Washer, dryer, your fridge, your smart meter, anything with Bluetooth on it. How about your Bluetooth earbuds? Stuff like that, right? Let me see. Is there anything else we're leaving out?
Microwaves.
Microwaves. Well, they're sending a signal. Yeah. They're not Bluetooth, but they're sending a signal. Absolutely. And before we get into this, I'll say, since this is probably the last time we'll talk about microwaves, you know they were saying that microwaves were bad back in the 60s. They knew. Because all this stuff was military before. So they know. They knew. We knew. Everybody knew. The cordless phone, sir. You said cordless phone. Ron, right? Well, it's the cordless phone, but it's also the base station that's always communicating. Always. So there's double whammy right there. Earbuds, router, tablets. We said iPad. So how about something? They call it wearable
Watch.
stuff.
Apple Watch.
Wrapped right around your circulation points and sending to global tracking positioning systems your blood pressure, your heart rate, and your mood. Your car at some point will know your psychological disposition before it starts.
Oh my God.
It's coming. And by you paying for that technology to monitor yourself for them, you're doing all of their work and making it easier and disrupting your own electromagnetic radiation. You're paying to do it. You're welcome. Gosh, it just got really icy in here all of a sudden. All the people that I watch us are like, ugh, there goes all the stocking stuffers, I guess. Cable black box, Apple TVs, Rokus, things like that, Apple TVs, speaker systems. How about this? How about my dad, without our knowledge, some of you who know the story of my parents and what happened a while back with my dad, he got a pacemaker put in, and they neglected to inform us that the pacemaker was a Bluetooth pacemaker that would be communicating with the base station sleeping next to his bed all night. For how many years? Forever? I said, Mom, what's this thing? Oh, that's the Bluetooth for his pacemaker. I about came unglued. I said, what? So if they're monitoring your heartbeat from space, what else can they do from space?
Turn it off.
Say it louder.
Stop it.
Turn it off. You see where I'm going with this? And let's make sure we got the mics on so everybody, yeah, you got that. How about this? Take this. So I said, Mom, hey, unplug the thing. Well, but what if they call? Unplug the thing. You really think they're going to call? She unplugged it. Did we hear a word? Did we hear a word? So what was it really there for? And how much did Medicare get charged for that Bluetooth pacemaker that you paid for? Here's another one. I hate to keep throwing my family under the bus, but this is, so my dad gets these Bluetooth hearing aids. Right here, inches, millimeters away from your gray matter, correct? You see where I'm going with this? This is unbelievable. And this is why we're not digging very deep into this, folks, because you just got to know that it's there And then I'm going to tell you how to get around it and how to like go charging through without getting taken down by the stuff. Because 5G, yeah, that's part of your worries. But what's been happening for the last 50, 60 years, 5G is just the icing on the cake. 5G is the cherry on the top of the whole social elite banana split. And I don't want to get too deep into it. But I'll keep throwing my family under the bus for now because I know Mom and all my siblings watch. So this will be great. Dad gets these Bluetooth hearing aids just recently. And she was telling me, Mom was telling me about him because he's always just struggled with hearing. But my dad was a hard worker. He worked doing steel for 30, 35 years. And so there's loud stuff all the time. Many people experience this. However, number one cause of tinnitus or ringing in the ear or loss of hearing, number one cause, what is it? Medications, number one. Particularly, what type of medications? High blood pressure medications. Yeah, tell your folks. Tell your folks about that one. So here's my dad with these Bluetooth hearing aids. And she says, yeah, the ear doctor, I'm sure it wasn't the ear doctor, but the technician had to come out and install the things. I said, in his head? She said, no, on the TV. And I said, on the TV? She said, yeah, there's 3 settings. You can hear it, like, it's to hear TV. It's not to hear you. So he sets the thing on the back of the TV. He screws in the thing on the back of the TV. This blew my mind. I saw immediately where this was going. There's 3 settings. He can hear he can go upstairs in the back of the house, out in the garage, and still be pumping TV in his head. How's that happen? And then she says, oh, yeah, it's great. He doesn't have to. He can watch it, and I can hear it, and we're not arguing about how loud it is. Honey, if you ever see me arguing with somebody about TV, shoot me in the face. But they argue about, like, it's too loud because my dad's deaf and my mom's not. And so it's always the struggle of it's like the battle of the thermostat, only battle of the volume control. So she says, yeah, it's great until we turned off the TV, and the sound kept going. The TV was off, and he was still hearing it. This about blew me away because I realized this is where we're going. Transhumanism is here, folks. Do you all know in this room what transhumanism is? You don't yet. It's coming. But the merging of man with machine, this is all end time. This is all heavy, last book type stuff, if you know what I'm saying. So we're going towards a day where there will be an advantage. It will be like, oh, you have Google Maps and you can see everywhere you're going. Well, yeah, and they can see everywhere you're going too. There'll be an advantage to it, but there will also be a severe downside. So that being said, I just wanted you to, that's a miracle ear, and you can get one of those. Those are thousands of, they're relatively cheap apparently. Did anybody know about those hearing aids in here before you did? I'm the last to know. How's this? Yeah, but the technician came out to put him on the TV, not in his head. And I thought it was interesting too that she said, yeah, it's marketed for people, and this is right under your face, hidden in plain sight. It's marketed for you can hear the TV within 66 feet. What does that mean? Did that strike anybody funny?
66 feet.
Why not 65 feet? My mom said, huh? I said, why not 67 feet? Why 66? Y'all probably don't remember this, but this was in the magazines. This was long ago. And I've seen clippings of this magazine. When the Apple MacBook first came out, I'm sorry, darling, you can go. Very good job. Very good job. When the Apple MacBook laptop came out, here's the little icon, right? With a little bite out of the apple. What's that symbolize? Apple? Bite out of the apple? What happened when the bat? Okay. Do you want to know the original price of the Apple Macintosh when it first hit the market? No joke. Hidden in plain sight right under your face, hoping you won't think it. How crazy is that? See you, darling. Jane Goulet, everybody give her a round of applause. Thank you, Jane. Love you. That you can't make up. I've seen the advertisements. So why would the thing be 66 feet? You can hear the TV within 66 feet. Why not 70 feet? Why not just round it up? Why not say 65 feet? Why not just a nice handful of numbers, 65? That was the price of the Apple Macintosh when it first came out. Did anybody know that? That when I refreshed my memory on that a while back, it blew my mind. So when you have all of these things going on, how many of you have the majority of these in your house? Hands go up. How many of you are getting hit by the radiation in your house? And then how many of you are getting hit by the radiation of all the neighbors around your house? So take this and multiply it times how many? So the actual radiation that you're experiencing versus people just 10, 15, 20 years ago, heck, 60 years ago, is non-existent. You had power lines and transformers, and you had, lightning strikes and things like that. That was the only way you were getting radiated with stuff like of this level. But this rabbit hole, I'm telling you, is deep. We have 30 minutes left. This rabbit hole is deep. There's only 3 or 4 things in my life where I've gone down the rabbit hole that really, really changed like everything. And I'd say this one, I'm still kind of in the middle of it because I'm just shocked. I'm absolutely blown away, not just at the 5G thing, but how the 5G thing ties into everything else we talk about. This ties into your health. This ties into your finances. This ties into your grandkids. This ties into your past because you've already been affected by it. As a matter of fact, you're being affected by it right now, and you have been for the last 20 years. You just didn't know it. So if you're being affected by 5G and not knowing it, my big point tonight is you're being affected by other things and you don't know it. Such as all the other classes that we have on Facebook. We talk about fluoridated water. We talk about geoengineering. We talk about the drugs and the chemotherapy and the cancer. We talk about the vaccines. We talk about all the stuff everybody's getting censored for talking about now. But if this is happening right under your nose and you don't know about it, you think when they pop your kid with a syringe, you think there might be stuff in there you don't know about?
Sure.
Oh my goodness. If you wake up to this, you're going to wake up to a whole lot more stuff. But everybody's waking up to this because everybody knows somebody that lived on a cell phone and has some kind of brain thing going on, or stored it in their bra and had some kind of tumor. Everybody knows somebody who has been affected by smart meters get turned on around this nation and headaches start. This is widely documented. Scientists for 30 years have been warning about this. So you have to stay tuned into this because transhumanism is coming, and this is a huge part of it. Yesterday at Sam's Club, I went shopping. I try not to go. God, I want to pay somebody to go shopping for me because I seriously, Danielle, okay, I know you will. I know you will. Seriously, I know you do, and I would love to pay somebody to go do this to keep me out of this mindset. I go to Sam's Club, and I'm shocked. Within 1 hour, I see at least 4 autistic boys being led around by their parents. The parents are just in misery. It just breaks my... I'm trying to get some groceries. I started my purification today, by the way. I practice what I preach. 21-day purification started this morning. So I was there getting a bunch of vegetables and stuff like that. And 4 autistic boys, where are they all coming from? Nobody's telling you. Your OBGYNs aren't telling you about your tampons, and your pediatricians aren't telling you about your vaccines. Okay? So if this is happening under your nose, honey, you got some homework to do. But let me do the note-taking and the heavy lifting for you, and I'll just disseminate all of it as I'm going to do tonight. Tonight's an overview. But if all of this right here, this is not just in your home, then you get in your car, and you've got your Bluetooth on your phone pumping to the Bluetooth on your radio, and you've got your Bluetooth in your engine telling everything else. Then you go to work in a big, giant building, and you've got this happening 50 times over. OMG, get out of the way. You have got to have ways to mitigate this stuff or you are going to fry. Okay? Everybody knows it. All the scientists are saying the same thing. So 4 autistic males, where are they coming from? I'm sad. You are officially hired. You're my assistant. You are welcome. Now, I watched a movie a little while ago on a plane, and it was the new Predator movie. Of course, when I grew up, Arnold Schwarzenegger was my hero, of course. I learned many of my characteristics from Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know if you can tell. But there was this new Predator. Yeah, I know. There was this new Predator movie, and one of the main characters was an autistic boy. I wrote it down. I thought, I'm going to use this somewhere. Here's where I'm going to use it. The main character is the little boy who has this mathematical gift, and they're waiting for this little kid to solve this mathematical puzzle that will send all the aliens back to Alienville. And so the two parents, the mom and the dad are talking, or the two parental figures, I guess, an older guy and an older girl. And he says, and the guy says something like, "Man, I just hope he can have a normal life sometime." She says, basically, this is a paraphrase, and the main character says, "Well, this is the new normal. On the evolutionary spectrum, this is leading to much higher cognitive awareness. He's aware of things that we can never comprehend. On an evolutionary spectrum." Did you hear that? So they're telling you, just like transhumanism, they're telling you that basically your body is flawed and that it needs to be modified. In other words, autism is the new normal. In other words, they're the normal ones and you're sick. Did you catch that? I'm not saying hate against the autism. I'm saying love, because nobody's telling these poor kids and poor parents. Many of them find out the hard way. But I'm telling you, I'm sick of people not knowing this, and I'm sick of being quiet about it. So the transhumanism thing is going, and it's in the movies. It's just programming everybody to get to the point where they're like, you know what? Yeah, we all need to be beating our heads against the shopping carts at Sam's Club. Yeah, that's where it's going. So let's take a big deep breath. Okay, no more gloom. Now we go straight to the doom. Here goes. Is your cell phone safe? This little booklet, and Andrew, you can cue up the get the trailer going here in a minute. Is your cell phone safe? This has been on my table for now 4 years, and Urconia is the company that does the lasers. They put this together. And here was stuff going back to 2012, 2013, 2014. Sanjay Gupta, not that I'm a big fan of these guys, but Anderson Cooper, major news. And they're even telling you that this is stuff that you need to watch out for. This is on the coffee table. We can even pass that around if you want to just, people can peel through it and see some of the headlines. Some of the headlines are, brain cancer linked to cell phone use, all kinds of stuff. There's studies, there's newspaper articles, everything. So let me know when you got the trailer queued up, my friend. We're going to watch just a 2-minute little trailer here. I want you guys to see. This is out there. This is a documentary, won a bunch of awards at a film festival. It's called Generation Zapped. And I just want you to see this, and we're going to play it through Facebook so other people can become aware of this. We show a lot of documentaries here. And it's all for patient education, because doctor means what?
Teacher.
Teacher, correct. Absolutely. So while this queues up, any questions so far on things? Anything that anybody came here specifically to figure out or to hear about while we're waiting for this to queue? Oh, we're good? Oh, I thought we were waiting for it to load. Okay. Save that question. Save that question. Here goes. So just check this out real quick.
We are made of atoms. It takes roughly 15 to 20 years for tumors to develop. Cell phones are shortening that to 10 years.
You cannot reverse it, you cannot heal it, and brain tumors are very difficult to treat. So we need to look at prevention, and prevention is not to be exposed.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and they found 5 tumors pretty much in the footprint of where the phone used to sit.
We know for sure that there is a direct link between cell phones.
This is a very similar one, but I want you guys to see this. You should watch this one too. You know what? It looks great. Question, Heidi.
Okay, so is this only related to the wireless stuff, or like what about your electric alarm clock?
Great question. Yeah, good question. Very good question. Primarily the wireless stuff, that's dealing with the 5G. But everything that has electricity going to it generates an electric field. So the wiring in your house, the box spring that you sleep on conducts electricity. So anything that's cutting through, any wireless stuff, yes, electricity affects you, whether it's plugged in or whether it's wireless, but 5G is dealing with the upgraded generation of cell phones.
But the EMFs, would your electric clock fit into
That is,
EMF?
yes, that does have an EMF. You have an EMF. Every human has an electromagnetic field around them that they generate. Every living organism and everything that has an electrical charge to it. Yeah, so everything does have a charge. Everything does have an EMF to it.
Is that the same impact as like a cell phone, or is it like a different effect?
I don't know why.
Like the electric field around, say, an older TV, for example. It's not a smart TV. Would that be the same impact as a smart TV?
Yeah, we can answer that at the very end. The question was, do I need to repeat that for everybody? I need to repeat it for Facebook. The question was like older TVs versus newer TVs. Well, the older TVs were not communicating with your cameras around the house. It wasn't communicating with your Roku, your cable, your Apple TV. It wasn't communicating with any of that. That was just a cathode ray tube. It still had an electromagnetic charge to it. Your parents said, don't sit too close to the... They knew, right? But now the smart TVs are emitting at a higher frequency and a shorter wavelength. And I'll show you what that means here in a minute. And you can put up the electromagnetic spectrum thing. Andrew, we'll discuss that while you're trying to figure that one out. We're trying to get the right movie clip up. I thought we had it figured out. But yeah, just go ahead and put that up so I can show you, because that is a good, the question was, does this all deal with electromagnetic frequency and electromagnetic fields? Does it all deal with, Ryan, can you hit that light back there? Turn that back on. Or yeah, that'll work. So dealing with how much of it is wireless, how much of it is plugged in, is it old TVs, new TVs? Can you put that one picture up, pretty please? This picture right here, it will explain, okay? Everything that you know. How many of you have heard me explain how the lasers in our office work? So everything that you see and everything that you hear has a frequency, in other words, a wavelength to it. This is a very, very, very minor diagram. I didn't want to get too technical. So long wavelengths, that's like your radio waves. The long wavelengths, the big wavelengths right here, a wavelength would be from here to here, okay? The big wavelengths that your car antenna picks up and pumps into your dial on your radio, if you look at like 103.1 or 104.1 megahertz, right? That means 1 million cycles per second. That's that wavelength. Radio waves. Big, huge radio waves. Then you got microwaves. Then you've got infrared energy, right? Infra means below. Red means red. So infrared means below red. On the other spectrum, this is the Roy G. Biv. This is the visible spectrum of light that you learned in grade school. Roy G. Biv, remember? Now there's ultraviolet, which is above. Ultra means higher violet. So below red, it's infrared you can't see. There are cameras that can see that. Then there's ultraviolet light here for crime scenes that's above violet. You can't see that either. And then it goes X-rays, gamma rays. Higher frequency means more cycles per second, means a shorter wavelength. That means you can pack more of these into a second than you can these. That's the basic of shorter wavelength, higher frequency, longer wavelength, very much lower frequency. Does that make sense? Everything, all of everything, X-rays, gamma rays, radio waves, all the energy created in the universe when God said, let there be, is right here. From what we know. However, you can only see, remember that scripture that says, so we look not at what's seen, because what's seen is temporary, what's unseen is eternal. One of my favorite, 2 Corinthians. Right here, all of this is what's out there. That one little chunk right there is all you can see. There's an even smaller chunk of what you can hear. Let that sink in for a minute, because all this other stuff out there is beyond your level of comprehension. You can't see it, you can't hear it. That is electromagnetic fields. I hope that makes sense. That is electromagnetic radiation. That right there, if you type that in any textbook in audio, light, sound, music, you're going to start right here so that you understand how music and how light and how all of this, how big. The higher frequency is more dangerous because these big long wavelengths are rolling over cars. They're rolling over buildings. When you hear a car a long way away with a really loud radio, what do you hear first? The bass. You don't hear the cymbals. You don't hear the tss, tss, tss. You hear the because it's low wavelength. Long wavelength means big giant frequencies, big giant wavelengths that are rolling over cars and houses, making it to your ear. Okay? The high frequency symbols and stuff like that, that's farther down. Those are getting blocked by buildings and stuff. But shorter wavelength, higher frequency can penetrate right through your bones. That's what x-rays are for. So when you go to a dentist and they take an x-ray, they put a lead blanket over your heart. Whoops, I just totally hit my microphone. Put a lead blanket over your heart. Why would they do that? Because they don't want ionizing radiation. What does ionizing radiation mean? Ionizing means it creates ions. It breaks molecules apart. What kind of molecules might x-rays break apart? DNA, everything else, right? So it's ionizing radiation. So the higher the frequency, the number of cycles per second, let me just, number of cycles per second. I do want to explain this because it's a good question so that this will clear up a lot of misinformation for people. Like a bass, like the sound we heard buzzing. When you hear a truck backing up, beep, beep, beep. It's around about 2,000 hertz, okay? When you're talking about radio waves, 103.1, that is a station around here, right? I don't listen to radio. Is that a station? Megahertz. That means 1 million hertz. Hertz is named after the German guy who figured it out. It means cycles per second. I might have done that wrong. That's 103. Yeah. No, that's right. 103 megahertz. I might be wrong on that. No, 103 million hertz. Anyway, that's a lot of hertz. That's a lot of cycles. That's a lot of these in a second. Okay? That's your radio waves. Okay? We're talking about down here. We're talking about beyond, like this is bad, people. We're talking about this is bad amounts of radiation for you. Multiplied times everything we just said on steroids. How do you fix it? We'll get there. Did we get that figured out? Is that the right? I want you guys to see this. If we can't, no big deal. So the picture of the spectrum, the radiation, what I want to show you too. Yeah, it's all about kids. It's like a kidsier one. I wondered what was, huh? Okay, yeah, play it. I want you guys to see this. This is a 2-minute little thing. Thank you.
If I ask you how much more radiation does penetrate your body today compared to like 10 years ago, is it twice as much, 3 times as much? No, it's a quintillion times more. That's a 1 with 18 zeros.
In France, they had some of the first adopters of Wi-Fi. Now they're recognizing that the Wi-Fi is potentially harmful to school children, so they're getting rid of it in elementary schools.
Could where you carry your cell phone make you sick?
Radio frequency emissions from the school's strong wireless network has triggered headaches, nosebleeds, and nausea.
Smart meters are replacing the analog meters on your home.
Some say such meters are making them sick.
Nobody has taken into account the cumulative radiation that we are all getting, especially children.
Had there been pre-market testing, cell phones never would have made it into the marketplace.
The manufacturers actually tell people in the instruction manual, which I never read, not to put the cell phone against your ear.
Radio frequency radiation are in fact cancer-causing and are perhaps a cause of neurological diseases and cognitive problems and developmental problems in children.
The wireless industry spends $100 million a year lobbying the Congress. So it's really hard to go up against the power of this industry, even when you have the facts on your side.
We urgently need more research. We have almost no U.S.-funded research in this area.
Scientists decided it was time to counter the industry claims that there is no evidence.
Good evening. The World Health Organization today said cell phones are possibly carcinogenic.
It puts it in the company of several other kinds of things like lead, as well as engine exhaust and chloroform.
These are all things that immediately will reduce your exposure. Use a wired earpiece. Concentrate on speakerphone.
A wired computer classroom will not expose your child to radio frequency radiation.
I do have a certain sense of optimism that eventually the right thing will happen, like it did with tobacco, like it did with asbestos.
To reiterate, that 1 quintillion, the amount of exposure that you have now, as opposed to what do you say 10 years ago, 1 quintillion, that's quintillion, 18 zeros after it. So in other words, increased frequency, how many times it frequents, how many times it happens per second, is a decreased wavelength. So little tiny waves like this, to review, and then a decreased wavelength or a short wavelength is a longer wave. Longer wave, okay? 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. Where'd we get, not 5, 6, 5G. Where'd we get 5G? Let's just real quick go back. 40 years ago in the 80s, 1G was wireless voice calls. Okay, those were the bricks with the, Miami guys. Huh? Zach Morris? Don't know who that is. But brick in the face, phones in the cars and stuff. That was 1G, wireless voice calls. Okay, that was in the 80s. Then in 2G, we got text. That was in the 90s. Y'all remember that? 3G was when it happened in about 2001, and that's when they added wireless internet. So you see how it just progresses and progresses. I mean, I can remember back when phones were plugged into the wall, 4G, it was up until 2018, that was what boosted everything through. That was increased video, that was increased, streaming, all that. That's where Netflix came from, okay? And all your online, all of that. Now 5G, the big selling point for 5G is, Jody, you will be able to download an entire season of Stranger Things in 2 seconds. Might take you 6 weeks to watch it, but you can download it in 2 seconds. Who needs that? Does anyone in this room need that? You will be able to download every book in history ever written within seconds. Who needs that? That's where we're going with this. Who's asking for this? Is anybody asking for this? No. So, up until 2018, that was increased video and increased streaming. And now this is 5G. So Heidi, to answer your question, we'll go back to that. 5G now is, if what's fast isn't fast enough for you, we'll make it faster. So this is 5G. It's faster data. It's ultra high definition resolution for if you want to make your 48-inch TV into a 148-inch TV. It's ridiculous. So think about this. The only ways to get out of this thing is to reduce your use. I'll say this once. I'm not going to write this all down. Reduce your use. This is the only way. There's 3 ways. That's about it. Increase your distance away from the source, and try to stay with hardwired connections. So reduce your use. I'll lump it in there with blocking technology or something that you can do to mitigate your exposure to this stuff. If you've heard us talk about the fluoride in the water and the vaccines and the stuff in the air and the geoengineering and all this, you know that you cannot get away from this stuff. You cannot get away from genetically modified organisms in your food. You have to be able to digest it. You have to be able to digest it. So that's why we use digestive enzymes here. Every single person that walks in here with digestive problems, what happens? Brittany, what happens to people with digestive problems when they walk in here?
Well, I mean, if they stay as a patient,
they get better. Well, yeah, they got to be a patient. They don't just walk in and magically. Yes, you're right. You're right. That's very good. So your digestive enzymes are a huge thing. What's the biggest pressure to digestive enzymes? What's the biggest thing that shuts down your stomach, causes enterocolitis, tears up your stomach? Anybody? Medications and vaccines. 2 of the biggest things. Vaccines will say right on there. It causes enterocolitis. Big word for your stomach and your intestines are going to have problems, and you're not going to digest your food properly anymore. So don't forget to go get your free flu shot, and you get a $10 voucher for groceries. They got to pay you to get it, right? So reduce your use and or block things, which we'll talk about when we sign off here in a few minutes. Increase your distance from the source. In other words, if you are living under a cell phone tower, you're going to have problems. And here's the deal with the 5G thing. We'll talk more about this. I didn't even get into my notes. This is sickening. With 5G, the whole purpose for 5G is to have driverless cars. When they take away your cars, you're done. I mean, yeah, guns too. But when you can't go someplace, you know, and you can't go someplace when you want to go, or if they just don't like you, or you dress funny, or you didn't pay your bill that month, and they just shut your car off, or they shut off Cleveland Utilities, smart meters. The whole global agenda, the whole thing is to monitor you. The whole thing is so that you're under control. The whole thing is, if we don't like you, if you say something about vaccines, Facebook, or if you say something about drugs, or you say something about, you know, oh, I don't like abortion, or oh, I don't like this, or oh, you know, such and such, they can shut you off. That's the whole agenda. And it's been, with the mind control thing going on for years and years and years, it's been happening more and more and more, and you just have to know this. You have to favor hard, I said this already, reduce your risk, stay and block technology, increase your distance from the source. So if you live under a cell phone tower, the whole purpose of this is for driverless cars. I learned this a little while ago. With 5G, they're going to have to put towers some people are saying every 100 yards to every 1,000 yards. Cell phone towers cutting through all residential neighborhoods at 100 yards to 1,000 yards. 100 yards to 1,000 yards. Some people are saying they got to put them 100 yards. Some people are saying they got to put them 1,000 yards. Massive things spitting this monstrosity, cutting through you and your kids. Do you hear me? You have a Bluetooth thing on your phone. It's cutting through you. It's cutting through your kids. The more crap you have on that list at your home, honey, go hardwired. I'm about ready to. Serious. Andrew, I got a big job for you coming up, brother. You're going to wire my whole house. You got to increase distance away from that cell phone tower. But here's the deal. I learned this a little while ago. I was driving. I was in Miami, I believe, Tampa, and I got a Lyft, an Uber, or a Lyft ride. And I always like to talk with the people and say, so what do you do, man? What's your day job? What's your day gig? What do you do? How'd you get down here? Everybody down in Florida originally came from Ohio and Michigan. Every one of them.
Yeah.
All of them. All of them. So I said, hey, do you like driving for Uber? I always ask a few questions. What do you think about it? You know, how's it work? And the guy said, yeah, I love Uber and Lyft, man. They're great. They still haven't turned a profit yet. I said, really? Uber and Lyft have not turned a profit? I was not aware of this. Talk more. I'm all ears. I said, I had no idea. I said, wait. You got two companies that are completely disrupting an entire industry of taxis and limos. And they're not turning a profit. Talk to me, brother. Pull the car over and tell me this one. He says, yeah, the investors, they're not turning a profit yet because they know that everybody's going to get used to driving with having a driver. They're not going to want cars. They're not going to want to lease cars. They're not going to want to own them. They're just going to want to call and have somebody come pick them up. He said, man, I take kids to school all day. Yeah. I was shocked. I said, you're taking kids, you're a bus? Don't they have buses still? He says, yeah, but some parents, you get to know them and stuff, and they have pretty good background checks and stuff like that with Lyft and Uber, apparently. And so, the kids just get taken to school. And I said, so tell me this, why is there no profit? I don't get where you're going. He said, when people get tired of cars, then the driverless cars come on the scene and they make all their money. They're not planning on making a profit until the driverless cars. And I thought, holy cow, Elon Musk, here he comes. Here it comes. The whole transhumanism agenda is to get you out from behind the wheel. And let's, make our Lexus park, half the people can't parallel park anyway, worth of crap. A true story, right? But that's the whole agenda that you need to know. They are not turning a profit. I haven't had time to look this up and verify it, but they know that when driverless cars roll out, we're toast. Totally toast. And the 5G thing is part of making all that happen. I have to hurry. So another little thing like 4G. Y'all have the Find My iPhone thing. Like with 4G, LTE, I love it. On your phone, it actually says, where's my phone? On your phone, it says long-term evolution. Up in the upper left here, it'll say LTE. Did y'all know what that stands for? For the longest time, I thought it meant limited. Until a few years ago, I thought, man, what does that LTE thing mean? And I looked it up, long-term evolution. It's right on your phone, long-term evolution. Isn't that crazy? But the LTE allows you to track your phone. Like if you lose your phone, you can turn on your iPhone thing, Find My iPhone, and you track it to within 50 feet. Within 50 feet. This is military technology, folks. where they've been getting ahead of us in the last 40, 50 years. 5G, it's not 50 feet anymore. You can track this thing down to 3 feet. Just in case 50 feet wasn't a small enough radius for you to search for your phone. So that's a couple things that you need to know, okay? Yeah, we're going to, another couple things. Oh, geez, we barely got to any of this. We're going to have to do another class or two we'll show you how to mitigate and how to, some of the products that are out there. There's canopies that go over your bed. There's clothing. There's sleeping bags you sleep in. There's paint for your house. There's metal stuff for your house to block the stuff. There's caps and hoods and things to put over your smart meters. There's things to wear. There's things to put on your phone. I mean, it is ridiculous the amount of stuff. This has been going on for years. There's so much you need to know. But you just need to know. I want to read you some of the medical stuff that you need to look out for, because this is the whole reason. This is the whole reason you're here. Effects in animals have been the structure of testes and ovaries, decreased sperm count, decreased motility, decreased sperm quality, decreased number of eggs, decreased fertility, increased number of spontaneous abortions, miscarriages. Now, everything that I'm talking about right there, they all have something in common. They all have to do with reproduction. What does that tell you? However, decreased sex hormones, decreased libido, all the stuff. That's just the reproductive effects. Documented by the Navy back in the 60s when they were doing experiments with sonar and radar. You see where I'm going with this? So you see the health effects of what's happening in this country. It's not just the vaccines. It's not just the drugs. It's not just, yeah, you got genetically modified stuff in the food. Yes, they're spraying chemicals on you. It's the fact that you are getting cut in half by radiation that you're paying for half the time. And you're wearing it on your body. Horrible. I do not carry my phone on me at all during the day. Haven't for 5 years, 6 years. It is on my desk. I go, I talk to people. I'm present. My phone's not on me. When I'm at home, it's nowhere near me. I do a lot of other stuff to mitigate some of the things that we'll talk about right after we shut off here, but I just want to read you some of the medical stuff. Harmful effects to humans happen at levels more than 1,000 times lower than current safety guidelines. Let me rephrase that. There's industry science, and then there's independent science. There's industry science, which is Merck and GlaxoSmithKline and Pfizer saying the vaccines are perfectly safe and effective. There's industry science. Then there's independent science, where researchers take this cohort of kids who were never vaccinated and this cohort of kids who were vaccinated, and they compare the two. What's the difference between the two types of science? Well, the industry, they're the ones that made the product that they're testing. Vaccine debate just went bye-bye. Right then and there. Bye-bye. The independent scientists over here aren't making money off the vaccines. Flip the script and call that telecom. Flip the script and go, wow, we thought Big Pharma had some money. Telecom's got more money. So you see where this is going. So all of this stuff got passed through and lobbied through without ever being tested, like the guy said in the movie. Mechanism of action is it's increasing your intracellular calcium. I was going to draw out how this works, but it'll freak you out, and I don't want to get into it. It causes neurodegeneration. Can we say, what diseases out there have to do with neurodegeneration? Say it louder. Autism. What else? Alzheimer's. What else? Parkinson's. What else? Dementia. That's just a short list. How about multiple sclerosis? How about ALS? How about people dumping water on their heads? 38 peer-reviewed studies say that cancer and many other diseases will happen well below the current guidelines of what's safe and effective. The first review of EMFs was published in 1965. So now with all the EMFs, it's starting to look like with the calcium channel blockers. I was going to show you guys this, because now for the first time in history, calcium channel blocking drugs are looking like they're working because of the EMFs working on the calcium channels within each cell. So it's looking like, these calcium channel blocker drugs are getting more and more effective. Isn't that crazy? Here's another big thing you need to know. I just highlighted. These are the highlights of the highlights of the highlights, okay? Insurance companies are not insuring wireless providers because they know what's going to happen. Lloyd's of London will not insure these huge telecom companies because they know what's happening. It's like it's like Medicare not paying for your vaccines because they know what's going to happen in 30 years. Man, we're going to get a buttload of lawsuits. We can't afford this. We don't want this. People are going to be dying, dropping like flies. When you got insurance companies that won't insure something, I mean, they insure magicians and people who jump out of buildings for a living, people. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. They insure people who freeze themselves in blocks of ice for 7 days. They insure those people. All right. Industry science, all that stuff. Big 5 most critical human health effects, neuropsychiatric. We're talking about the sleep, the sensory problems, anxiety, depression, fatigue. 40% of the US population lives within 300 meters of a cell tower. You don't need Wi-Fi for much of anything. The reproductive stuff we already talked about. The males are not doing as well in school as they once did. They don't seem to be as interested in things. They want to stay at home. They're not into girls. They don't want to go out and drive. They want to stay at home and play Halo and World of Warcraft. Have you all noticed this? Okay. We won't get into that then. Okay. Decreased testes and ovary structure. You're wondering why the boys are looking like girls. Girls are looking like boys. This is part of it, along with the GMOs and all the other stuff. I won't even get into this, man. We are running as fast as we can in the exact wrong direction. Autism and ADHD, this is the big other area. DNA damage, we talked about how it damages the DNA. X-rays damage your DNA. Remember when we were on the X-ray thing over here? X-rays damage your DNA. This is definitely going to tear it up, okay? And Alzheimer's disease, they're seeing it in rodents. Rodents progress about 15 times faster than humans. So it's easier to observe some of this in animal populations. So they're like, here's a bunch of cell antennas that are putting out high Wi-Fi, and we run these rats, and then within 3 generations, the rats can't reproduce. Here's the deal. You wreck some DNA, and you might screw up 100 genes. The next generation, just because of the way DNA works, you're going to mess up 2,000 genes. The second generation. I've got handouts back there. Y'all ought to grab one on Pottinger's cats, which explains how this works. Diamond will be back there. Raise your hand. Or yeah, just pass out some of these. If anybody's interested in knowing how this whole thing works and how it applies to your nutrition, Diamond's going to pass this Pottinger's cats handout out. You need to read this. This is a big deal because this is basically what Pottinger's cats is saying. You wreck some DNA in a mom or a dad, you're going to screw up about 100 genes. Second generation, they're going to screw up 2,000 genes. Does anyone know how many genes you have? If you've got 2,000 messed up genes, how many genes did the Human Genome Project figure out? We got about how many genes? Rough estimate. Anybody? You've got a bunch of chromosomes. You got about 23,000 genes. If you, on a second generation reproduction, screwed up 2,000 genes, what does that tell you? 10% of your DNA is flawed. What can you do when 10% of your DNA is flawed? What would you do if 10% of your cell phone didn't work? Right. So just wanted to hit on that. EMFs increase components in plants. If some of you are into oils, it's called terpenes. That makes the plants more flammable. What's been happening out in California the last few years? Is it possible that the EMFs and the high density EMFs in California would be responsible for changing the growth rate of the plants, increasing the terpenes, increasing therefore the flammability of the plants, and then somebody looks at a fir tree and it goes up in flames? Could that be possible? Static electricity, something sparks it, right? All these forest fires. Been wondering forever, is it just, but you're told what? You're told the forest fires are a result of what?
Global warming.
Yes. Oh, see where this is going? What's the global warming agenda? There's too many stinking people on Earth. Transhumanism. You are welcome. We just circled that pony, didn't we? All right, last few things on this, and then we're signing off, and I'm going to tell you what we're going to do about all this. Because you know what? I love the people that come here. I love the people that are watching online, too, and see if there's anything that we need to answer or talk about. But sometimes you just got to close the door and talk in private to your peoples and let them know what's going on. Some of this stuff is sickening, and it's not stuff I even want to share, but I have to. That's really all. Yeah, in Italy, this case happened a while back where a woman's son was working on a cell phone all day long. The employer forced him to be on the phone all day long. Got a brain tumor, died. The woman went to court, and they got a lawyer and stacked up the evidence for, that cell phones cause cancer. It was replete. It was everywhere. And then, of course, the defendant's attorney stacks up the literature that says you could do the same thing with vaccines. We just talked about this. They stack up all the research that says, that vaccines or that 5G or the cell phone radiation is safe and effective. So you've got all these varying opinions, lots of different research stuff. Everything's published on Google Scholar. And then the judge says, this was an Italian judge. Gosh, I thought this was brilliant. And he says, now, you've got your proof and you've got your proof. Now, we remove all of the evidence that was sponsored by the companies that created the technology. What happened to this stack? What happened to this stack? We just explained vaccines. We just explained drugs. We just explained healthcare. We just explained the fluoride in the water. We just explained what they're spraying on you. We just explained GMOs, and we just explained 5G. That case stood. That's in an Italian court. That is wide open. It's still there. Okay. And yeah, did everybody get that Pottinger's cat study? Oh, we had to make a few more. Make sure you get this. If you've been a patient here, you've probably read this. We hand this out. This is basically explaining what happens within cats. Rodents, everything happens 15 times faster than humans. Cats, they're pretty quick too. You can observe changes in generations very quickly. So Pottinger was a physician, and he noticed what happened with cats when he fed them good food versus when he fed them bad food. Within 3 generations, the bad food cats had some problems. You might want to read about that and tell me if you read this stuff and you go, that's our society right now. Huh. Yeah, you need to know this. So here's my point. If you are not doing something to change your diet, to rebuild your organs, somebody today, her pituitary showed up. We're working on rebuilding her pituitary. How do you do that? With plants and animals. Same way God did it. Same way people did it for 6,000 years. The stuff, he knit you, pulled you out of the dirt, and then he turns around and pulls 2 other things out of the dirt, called plants and animals. That is the power about what we do here. And nobody's going to beat it. There ain't a drug on earth that can do what we do here in 15 minutes. Not a drug on earth. You heard me say it. Vaccines increase electrosensitivity. We covered all this stuff. So any questions, comments, concerns before we sign off? I'm good, man. We got done. Right. Yeah, any questions, comments, concerns? Facebook, thank you so much. Share this with people. Like it, send it. If you have questions, if you want to know more stuff, call us here. Divine Design, Natural Health, Dr. Brett Spradlin, thank you so much. Give the interweb a round of applause. All right.
So the big thing